All right. Great pleasure to welcome back my good friend, General Keith Kellogg, former U.S. Special Envoy for Ukraine, co-chair of the AFPI Center for American Security. Keith, welcome. Thank you for this. First of all, Mr. Trump said, I guess today, our military is knocking the crap out of Iran, but a big wave, quote unquote, is yet to come. Can you enlighten us on the big wave?
Well, Larry, good to be with you. Thanks for having me. Look, when you look at the last 3 days, I don't know how much better you can make it. The fact of the matter is, with our great men and women in uniform doing what they've done, and it just shows the preeminent role that our leadership, meaning the president, our SecWar, and our chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff have. But look at the equipment that we've used. The Lucas unmanned systems for the first time, the F-22, the F-35, the B-1, the B-2, the Patriot. No other nation in the world can do that. Our equipment is unmatched, our people are unmatched, and we're proving that on the battlefield. And it's just amazing to me to see the results from that. The reason you haven't heard from the Russians or the Chinese, I think they're kind of saying, we can't match up. And thank you very much, but you're on your own this one, Iran, and they're just kind of back away from it. And the real person that's going to be, or the real country that I think is hurt by this is China, because the majority of their oil is coming, or at least 20% of their oil, has been coming from Iran. It goes from Kharg Island through the Straits of Hormuz to China, and that's no longer going to be there. When you take Venezuelan oil, that's off the market, and the Chinese and the Iranian oil that's off the market, you can buy ours, you can buy the Saudis, we'll help you out, but it's going to come at a premium to you. So it's a real kudos to what the president has done. And you're absolutely right. He has reset the stage, not just of the Middle East, he's reset the stage for the world.
The world. Oh, it's almost unimaginable, Keith, and thank you for saying that. Right. I want to give a kudo, and I haven't spoken to him in a while. I'm kind of afraid to, but I want to give a kudo to my friend John Radcliffe, who's now running the CIA. I mean, I think the CIA plus the Mossad, Israeli Mossad, were heavily into Iran's knickers, if you will, and figuring out the right timing, when to bomb, when to take out, you know, the 40 people, the 41 people, now the 49 people of leadership. That has to be bone crushing. And we knew there were meetings there. I mean, the role of intelligence is so important. And unlike some episodes in the past, Keith, our intelligence in this was spot on, okay? Actually, I think it's been spot on for well over a year, you know, back in we had the first attacks on Iran. But intel is really crucial to this operation, is it not?
Yeah, it is. And I think it's great credit to John Radcliffe and his team at the CIA and what they've done, the DIA and the rest of the team that's out there. And when you look at the leadership, you're going to have a hard time finding anybody that wants to take charge in Iran right now because they know their demise if they do so. And most of them probably want to get beachfront property in Namibia. They just get the heck out of there and head to South Africa to do it. And when you look at that, we've just systematically taken their leadership apart from day one to day two to day three. And it's going to reach a point where there's going to be nobody in charge, which is good. The secular state is gone, and the president was so right about the Iranian people taking charge of their government. I think you're going to see that. And when that happens, you're going to see a changed Mideast. You're going to see a changed world as well. The Abraham Accords are going to take over. You're going to see probably the Saudis join it as well. You know, you can't give enough credit what President Trump has done. I mean, he really has done an enormous thing in leadership, in his direction, and his goals. He's wanted to do this since Trump won, and he was prevented from doing so by a lot of people, and he's now fulfilled his desire where he wanted to go, from getting out of JCPOA to terminating the Iran nuclear state that they wanted to develop.
Keith, just a question on this. The idea that the military, whether it's the Revolutionary Guard or whoever, military, the police state, whatever, would essentially throw down their arms and surrender in order to get immunity. Now, that's been a key message from President Trump for the last 3 days. What do you make of that? How feasible is that? I just listened to you, and I think, you know, if it were me, let's let the people of Iran seize the moment and retake their own freedom. Okay, it's a great message, too. But the other message that President Trump is saying is, go ahead, throw down your arms, and we will give you immunity. But if you don't, If you don't, you'll be dead because of our bombing. How feasible is that?
I think it is very feasible. I think he's given them a way out. He's basically said to them, after the leadership is gone, stop oppressing your people. Go somewhere else, do something different out there. They tried to do it, but they did it badly in Iraq with General Order Number 2, when they disbanded the Iraqi army, let them go home and take their weapons, you had an insurgency. He's taken another way out by telling them to stand down. You've got an honorable way out of this, and I think it's a great psychological move by the President of the United States. And the people, it's up to the people of Iran right now to take charge of their future, and I think they'll do it.
Who's running the place? This guy Tarzani, is that his name? He's a thug. He's an assassin. He's the leader of the security state. People say he's in charge. He's the guy who basically was running the operation and killed about 35,000 Iranian civilian dissidents. Is he running that place? Or what happens when they don't have anybody running it?
Well, that's what we've done. We've systematically taken apart their leadership. You see it right now. I don't know if it's Smith or Jones. The fact is, I don't think anybody wants to take charge. They probably want to get out of the country, which is good. But that causes some problems. Here's part of the problem right now. You don't know really who you're dealing with anymore because nobody's really taken charge to do that. And you're going down the chain of command, which is fine, and eliminating these people. And you turn over the people and say, you make your decisions. And I think that the president was, with a pretty good psychological move of lay down your weapons, don't oppress your people, just call it a day and go home. And I think it's a good move.
No, of course it is. But the other point is, I mean, I don't think there's a timetable here. But the idea, no forever war. The president has suggested 4 to 5 weeks. War Secretary Hegseth kind of did, but didn't want to emphasize very much that. In other words, we're going to do what it takes. What's the benchmark that says we've done what it takes? How would you assess, General Keith Kellogg, the benchmark that says, okay, we've done what we need to do. We have destroyed the evil Iranian empire and terrorist state?
Well, the way it's going right now, I'm sure they're ahead of schedule, and I have not seen the target list. But let's just use one example. There is no Navy left of the Iranian Navy. It's all at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. They've sunk it all. That's gone. You take out their missile sites, you take out their ability to do anything with their potential nuclear capability. You find out where their assets or where the enriched uranium is, and they're going to keep going. And I'm sure Dan Kane, their great chairman and the great Sec War out there, they've got a plan, they've got a schedule, they're following it. I think it'll end up sooner rather than later. But what I liked about what the president has done, he hasn't really put a time limit on it, maybe 30 days. I think it's going to happen faster than that. It may not happen tomorrow or the next day, but I think they're ahead of schedule. I don't know, but it seems to be they are. They're sure accomplishing their mission. I mean, when you look at it, we really haven't lost anything other than those great young men we lost, those 4 soldiers we lost in the F-15s that were shot down by the Kuwaitis inadvertently.
Yeah.
But when you look at what we're doing to them, it's absolutely incredible. It just shows the power of the United States.
Yes, sir. The power of the United States and the courage of its commander-in-chief. General Keith Kellogg, good to see you, my friend. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Larry.